Guys, welcome to the 21st episode of
The Journey for Greatness podcast. Well, it took us a little bit to get going here. So we got a new system going. We're not using our regular snowball mic. We actually have a special guest on today. He's not in the area. He's not close to us, so he couldn't come meet us somewhere like usual. So we're trying out a new system here. We're excited to see how it works. Google Voice. So we'll see how that goes. But we're really excited today because we have on a special guest. We really like what he does. His name is Josh Schiller, and he's starting a very interesting movement here, the High5 movement. If you haven't seen his page, it's Josh Schiller on Instagram, and it's pretty interesting. He's filled with positive energy. I love it. He's just a great human being, and I feel as though if we can get more human beings to be like and have Josh's mindset, then this world's just going to be a better place. So welcome to the show, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on here today. So I know I just gave a little introduction, but why don't you just kind of talk a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, thank you, gentlemen, for having me on the show. I really love what you guys are doing. I love the content that you guys are putting out every single day. I love the vulnerability. I love the authenticity. The message is there. The work ethic is there. Just keep going at it. That's first and foremost. That's major importance for me to say.
We appreciate that.
So, where do we start? So my name's Josh Schiller. I'm from New Jersey, right outside of Manhattan. I'm literally looking at the Freedom Tower as we speak right now. I am the creator, the founder of the High5iver movement, which at its core was started, and that's High5iver, H-I-G-H-5-I-V-E-R. It was started to simply push positivity, right? And more importantly, to make positivity actionable. And when people look at positivity, when they hear positivity, there's a lot of people that tune it out immediately because they think of unicorns, rainbows, and all of these higher perspective ideas that may not be applicable to quote unquote real life. And it was very important starting out the High5iver movement that it wasn't just about every day is positive, because there are some days that, let's face it, guys, it's not all positive, right? But the fact that we're sitting here, the fact that we're on the phone, the fact that we exist, it's all good. And if we could come back to that foundation and take that foundation and use that as a starting point in our days, then things become a lot more positive, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, hey, the fact we all three of us woke up today is a miracle. As a matter of fact, I actually saw this girl talking on YouTube. I was watching it, Mel Robbins, who I've been very interested in lately on her whole perception and how she looks at people. It's very interesting. If you guys haven't looked her up or watched any of her YouTube videos, type in Mel Robbins, or you can follow her on Instagram. And she said, "We are all miracles. We have a 1 in a 400 million% chance of being born to the people that we're born to, at the place we're born, the time we're born, with the friggin' chromosomes in our body." So realistically, if you want to talk about like a miracle, like a long shot, we're all long shots. We're all 1 in 400 million. It's nuts. So the fact that, yeah, we are standing here, we're still alive, and the fact that we were all even friggin' born is a miracle.
We've hit the lottery.
Exactly. Yes, just like Gary Vee says, 100%, boom, boom. You could have freaking been a tree. You could have been a plant, but you're a person. We hit the lottery. And I honestly, I haven't really figured it out. But I don't know why people aren't as positive as you are, have the outlook that you have. Because it's funny, when I hear you talk, like I can't see you in person, I can just hear your voice. I can just tell how excited you are to just be alive right now with the enthusiasm that you just talked about. You can tell. when you talk to somebody right away, the first few minutes. I just don't get why people are so negative.
So that's really, so that statement right there, that's also part of the reason why High5iver was really started. So as Gary Vee and a lot of the other influencers talk about, where the attention is, right? It's via social media, it's through these channels, these different platforms. And instead of sitting back and going, oh man, all the attention's at social media, people's heads are in their phones, let me not just be on there. What if we internalize and say, you know what? Okay, the attention's there. What if we push positivity where the attention is? And instead of saying, oh, the world is a certain way, why even try? Does that mean because there's negativity on the news or negativity on social media or negativity anywhere for that matter, does it mean that we shouldn't try to push positivity? So while there are a lot of people that walk around that may not be the most positive, I challenge that and say that they want to be positive. Who doesn't want to be happy at the end of the day? Right? So when we look at it through that lens, I think it's all of our jobs, and it starts on an individual level, right? Because especially in the millennial generation, what's the one thing you hear out of every millennial? I want to make an impact on the world. I want to change the world. You know where that change starts? That change starts inside each of us, being the best person that we can be. And if we all do that, if we all work on ourselves, ask ourselves the tough questions, be willing to go inside, be willing to go vulnerable, like you were the other day, Eric, when you did that video about your eye. Oh my God. That was literally the best video I saw on Instagram all day. All day. Why? Because you were real. You were real.
It's so funny you say that, because me and Tom had a talk today on my way home from something I do with Toastmasters, and I just said, Tom, I think we need to realize whether it's glorious or whether it's painful, whatever it is, the truth and positivity fucking win every single time. And again, it doesn't matter what it is. The truth wins every time with positivity. That's it. It just wins. It does. And it's funny, we talk about social media and wanting to have an impact on people's lives when you see a lot of shit out there on people's social medias that are just, you think this person lives a glorious life, and they're not. I feel like a big thing with almost trying to be positive, I would say, is, I don't know how to put this, but showing that it's not all positivity. It is negativity out there, but getting through the negativity, I feel like, really makes you more positive, if that makes any sense to you guys.
100%. I mean, where have we learned our best lessons from? They were from our failures. It was from getting punched in the mouth. It was from literally the days when we were going through them, we thought we couldn't get through them. And to sit here and if I was to make these videos every day and to literally just high five, and that's it, and not address the real issues that we're going through on an individual level, on a societal level, that wouldn't be real. That's not real life. People will tune you out at that point, right? You won't relate to anyone. Why? Because that's not how life goes. Life isn't just one roller coaster on the way up. It's got its dips. It's got its loops. But that's the beautiful part of it.
And it's funny. Think about all these people, not all of them, but think about a lot of these people that are spreading positivity, that are out there, and that's their job. That's why they're on this earth. Josh, you know Eric Thomas, E.T.
Yep.
Lived in a trash can, lived in trash cans, lived in abandoned buildings, was homeless. Boom. Inky Johnson was supposed to go to the NFL. Not quite sure. I know something happened with his arm, and now he doesn't have, it's a prosthetic arm. He goes out and he speaks. So it's funny, on our first ever episode, it might have been episode 1 or 2, one of the first 1 or 2 episodes, me and Tom had discussed that you can have something really negative happen in your life. And it can, and I know this is probably so cliche, and people hear this all the time, it can honestly make you who you are, for the good or the bad. And I talk about this all the time. But, man, I am a bazillion% a changed person because of losing my brother a year and a half ago. I am a bazillion% a changed person. No question. If that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be here right now. Me and Tom would not have this podcast. I honestly have to say I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be as effed up as this seems what's about to come out of my life. I wouldn't be as positive as I am today. Because after going through that, after going through all that negativity, and after just, you could say, suffering and crying and almost, I don't know, I can't say definitely, almost going through depression where I would just lay in my bed and wake up, get something to eat, go back to bed, really not do anything. After a month of that, I finally woke up and said to myself, the hell am I doing? I need to start spreading the message of positivity. I need to start getting out there and letting people know that this shit happens. It happens, so everybody goes through stuff. But it's those who get through it and actually see the real message. There is a real message in things. And it's not the negative message. If you really dig deep and get to the core of the negative things that happen to you, it's the positivity of it. And I think people really don't dissect it enough and get to the core of the message that has happened to them. Regardless of what.
So you're not just spreading positivity though. Let's talk about that for a second. You're spreading perspective, right? The positivity is the end result from the adversity that you go through. Realistically speaking, when you go through these situations, we can talk about how you came out of that month long, whether it was depression or whether you just weren't feeling it, whatever it was. That's real. The fact that you went through it, there's people that are going through that right now. And we can talk about how you came out and how you're doing a podcast right now, but the perspective of going through that and coming out the other side okay, but not just okay, but thriving, that's the story, right? That's what people need to hear is the perspective. We do not just wind up where we are, right? We are a sum of our experiences of everyone we've ever come in contact with. Listen, I went to 3 grammar schools, 3 middle schools, and I went to 1 high school. But I had to meet people daily, or sometimes monthly, new kids all the time, going into a new environment. But if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be able to walk into a room today and introduce myself and strike up a conversation with any person in that room. Just as I'm sure you guys have been through experiences that have made you who you are today, just as everyone else has as well.
Yeah, and I can relate to that, Josh. And just to interrupt you, because I mean, I don't want to say introvert, but I feel like a lot of times it's sometimes not natural for certain people to just go up to a random stranger and be like, hey, what's your name? Like, and working at a bar where you have to interact with people, you can't just not be a conversationalist. Like, you have to talk to people. How's your day going? You know, the simplest thing is, hey, what's your name? And then you get to know that person. Hey, Jim, how's your day going? People, you don't believe how many people just start blabbing about everything that's going on in that microsecond, that day, that last hour. Oh, you know, something happened and they want to talk about it. And you almost become, you know, a therapist of some sort. And we know about that. Bartenders, you hear stories, different people bouncing ideas of, you know, Susie cheated on me, or, you know, you hear all these different things going on. You're like, wow, like it gives you perspective on a small scale of the world and the people that are in that world, and, you know, the different perspectives of those people, the positive, the negative. And so I can relate to that. Well, it's not easy to introduce yourself to somebody. That goes a long way. And for you to be able to, you know, to have those experiences earlier in your life, I think is a great thing. And for me, I'm noticing it a little bit more later in life, that a simple introduction, what's your name, you know, how are you doing today? Those simple actions like you just talked about, I think a lot of times people get stuck in, well, I don't know how to make an impact. Well, it can start really, really small and really, really simple and just snowball from there. And so that's what I love about the High 5. That it brings it from an idea to just a simple action. And that to me is the biggest thing that I take out of what you have started and what you're, continuing to build.
And listen, do I expect everyone to go around and just start high-fiving random people? Obviously not, right? But the high five, let that be, right? Let that be figuratively for someone else. It could be a fist bump. It could be saying, as one of my guests says, a nice dog, giving a compliment, holding a door, something sustainable that you can do on a daily basis to make positivity actionable, right? Not just going up to someone and talking to them and trying to get something from them, but actually care, right? Take a second to not just introduce yourself, but ask them about their day, how they're doing, where they're from. Not because you're looking for anything from it, but because you're connecting with another individual, with another human being. How powerful is that?
I absolutely love that, dude. I love that because I think too many times we're sitting here like, hey, Jim, how's your day going? And then in the back of your mind, man, maybe Jim can get me a job someday. Maybe I know Jim can hook me up with something. Or I feel like there's always an ulterior motive. If we can eliminate, I feel like the ulterior, like, hey, what's Jim going to do for me? And just be like, I'm going to have a conversation with Jim, and that's where it ends, and just see how his day's going. Instead of trying to strategize and what's he going to do for me, I love that. I think that's a really great point. I think too many times we just want to get something from somebody, so we artificially do more for somebody to try to provide value, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, we expect you to come back and give us something. Like this right now. You and I, we're just having a conversation. We want to build a rapport with you because we just like what you're doing, so there's not like an ulterior, oh, he's going to do this for us, he's going to do that for us. It's like, we love the movement. We just want to try to, give our community a little insight onto what you do. So I love that. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, and there's actually a book that came out. I can't remember the author, but it's Give and Take, right? And they talk about how there's givers, there's takers, and there's matchers. Right? So in terms of success level, the people who were actually most successful, believe it or not, were givers, right? But the people who were also the least successful were givers. Why? Because they gave to the point where it was a detriment to themselves. Now the matchers, they were right in the middle when it came to success, because it was like, hey, listen, I'll do this for you, but what can you give me in return? And the problem with that is eventually that runs out because people see that's how you work. They understand that if you do something for them, they're going to say, well, what does he want? And at the end of the day, when you do things because you want something in return, people may not find out, or people may not realize it the first time, but people are not stupid. People understand motives. People understand intent. And if they don't figure it out today, they will figure it out tomorrow. Do things just because, right? We talked about social media before, about, how we were talking about how perfection, when you look at social media, at times it can seem perfect, right? If we're going back to positivity, life is not all roses, right? And social media can give that perception sometimes of perfection. Right? How many pictures did it take for you to post that one or that video? Or perfection is a myth. And what kills more dreams than anything else is expectations and comparisons. And when we compare ourselves to one photo in time, whether it be on social media to someone else, or how many followers someone has, or anything like that, or expectations in the term of dialogue or conversations we have, we're setting ourselves up for failure.
I find myself, I'll admit it, there's occasional times where it's like, and Eric and I had a conversation just, I don't know, it was like, last week, Eric? We talked about, are we looking ourselves in the mirror? Are we doing enough, enough within the journey for greatness to actually get to a level that is, like our goal is to be able to do this 100% and have it be our, our full-time thing. So, but you say that, but then are you willing to put in, the effort behind the scenes to make that actually work? And so when I see people push positivity and all this stuff, it's like, yeah, that's great. Talk about it, but what are you doing? What are your actions? What are you actually being accountable
to
yourself?
Do you know the number one question I get from people about High5iver?
What is that?
Why do you do it?
Not even. How are you going to make money off of it? And I'm just so floored, right? Because that's where that's automatically where people's thoughts go, right? It's like, okay, well, that's nice, but how are you going to make money off of it? Like they just can't comprehend to do something nice just because, right? And at the end of the day, let's talk about that. Before we talk about the other steps, let's talk about how maybe we should really start shifting how we think about doing things for other people, about actually caring to do things for other people. Not because we're looking for anything, but because we care about each other. Because there's nothing that makes us happier than seeing others win. Winning is fun, but you know what's even more fun? Winning with everyone. Jumping on your guys' show, you know why? Because you guys are doing it and you guys are in the trenches. You guys are literally every single day sharing your story. The best test, if you ask yourselves, hey, are we doing enough? Did you get better than yesterday? Did you get better in this hour than you were last hour? It doesn't matter comparison to any of the influencers, anyone else, because you're not living their life. Are you guys consistently getting better than you previously were? If the answer is yes, you guys are moving forward. That's the only question that needs to be answered by the minute, by the second, by the day. As long as the answer is yes, you guys are going to keep going and keep growing. And eventually you will be where you want. And maybe it won't be to that ultimate place, but you know what? You'll be wiser for it. You don't know what's going to come along that path. There may be another thing that you find out 6 months from now. But only because you're on this path, only because you're living to your authentic self, who you are, who you were meant to be, sharing your truth, walking your path.
I love that. I think occasionally we get, I personally, I can only speak for me, but I get stuck in the, this has been my theme for like the last 3-4 weeks of like the split realities of doing something you really love to do. Like for us, it's a podcast, trying to build up who we're going to have on the show and this and that, reaching out to people, and then balancing that with the reality of, okay, well, I got to make $2,000 a month, or I got to make $2,500 a month in order to pay for this car that, do I really need to have the $350 car payment? Do I have to have the $800 apartment? So it's like, are you willing to make those really tough decisions in your life to either downsize your lifestyle to get to a point where that reality that you want to be in gets to you sooner, or do you want to continue on the path of, hey, I'm going to continue my exact lifestyle and then work all these other jobs, and then maybe in 6 months, maybe a year and a half, you don't really know the timetable, so those are the questions that I'm asking myself and internalizing. And, for me, I want to ask you, because I know you have you told us you work for another job, and I want you to talk a little bit about just the reality that you're in. You're working a job, and then you're also doing this, you're hustling on the side at night, on the weekends. I notice you're posting, you post a lot, you're doing videos. So talk a little bit about how you're managing, not only your job, but also trying to push this forward. And the reality is, yeah, we're not doing it for the money, but at the end of the day, if you're not like if you're not a Buddhist monk, if you're living on nothing, you want to have some sort of lifestyle. Talk about that balance, like that. How do you shift? Is it a switch? Do you just say, hey, I'm all in, or do you kind of slowly get into where you may get a sponsorship on your show. You may get a company that you align with that has the same vision that wants to kind of partner with you. So talk about that a little bit.
Sure. And just take it back a second too. No matter who I speak to that has made it in life or whose story you hear, there's one thing that is constant when you speak with any of them. And you know what that is? That's sacrifice. Right? They made sacrifices along their way to make that dream a reality. And sometimes it came in the form of giving a car back. Sometimes it came in the form of downsizing their lifestyle, right? Each of us are going to have a different sacrifice that we're going to have to make to take it to that next level. Now, I could tell you after starting the show, Pushing Positivity on the Pier, which is a weekly interview show where we basically introduce amazing people. We take a deeper look into their story, and then we share how they're pushing positivity and making it actionable each day. I've got to see the entire gamut in terms of people. A guest we had today, Alex Vivanco, his whole philosophy is jump out the boat, right? He believes burn the boats, right? You have to literally give up everything to go for it. And then I have other people who I've spoken with that are building parallel lanes. Work for major Fortune 500 companies, but I've started a nonprofit on the side. You know, for me, I work for a neurorehabilitation robotics company that helps people with neuromuscular disorders walk again and regain function. And High5iver complements that because let's talk about the robotic side for a second. You're dealing with people who have been through something traumatic, who want to regain function, who want to walk again, who want to just live a quote-unquote normal life. So what's more positive than seeing somebody go for it on a daily basis? Just as with High5iver, what's more positive, what's more inspiring than making another human being smile, even when they were having a bad day? People that you might not even know. What type of net impact could that have over time if we each adopted that philosophy? So the neurorehabilitation robotics company offers me the perspective that this ability that I've been given to operate at this level on a daily basis is such a gift that I can't waste a minute.
Dude,
I don't have
that's
time
fucking
for
awesome,
the
man.
TV
I'm
shows.
fucking chills. That's exactly, and it's hard to actually live that. I mean, it's not hard, but for me, I've found moments that, you know, and Eric, I know you're in a situation where, I don't know, it seems like it comes easier for some individuals where you, like for me, I get reminded by individuals like yourself, Josh, like Eric, like I haven't had a specific experience that has been like, hey, it's either traumatic or something has happened where it's given me instant perspective. I know a guy that went into a coma, got really sick, and after he came out, he literally just crushed things. Like, he was like, I'm never going to let myself get complacent again. Like, it just seemed like after that incident, everything just lined up for him. He got married, he got a great job. You know, he just had that, like, fire under his ass. And I think occasionally when people don't have maybe a defining moment, they need to get back to the fundamentals of the defining moment of you're alive. And that might be the biggest reminder that you have. Instead of having some specific experience that, hey, that's going to be the moment that everything changes. You have to go back to the start and just let that be your foundation.
I agree. And some people don't have the opportunity to have a bad day, guys. How many people didn't get the chance to have a bad day today?
And I'm gonna kind of stop you right there. Kind of chime in here for a sec. Perfect example would be, it's life or death for some people to have a bad day. So it's life or death. My brother had a bad day one day. He overdosed and he died. So you really don't know the situations that some people are in. One bad day could mean their life is over. One bad incident could mean their life is over. Maybe someone's on the brink of suicide and you just don't know it, and they're really thinking about it, and they're having a bad day, or something bad happens in their life, a bad event, and they're like, fuck it, I'm doing it. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but I could definitely relate and know what you're saying when you say some people just can't afford to have a friggin' bad day because of the situation they're in. You never know. It's kind of funny when you said, you know, positively impacting a stranger that you don't know. You never know the situation that they're in. You've probably heard of plenty of stories where people have, and I know I've read a few of these articles, seen some videos, people didn't know that the person they were connecting with, they positively impacted, were on the brink, were going to kill themselves. And then them just legitimately coming up to them and saying, hey, how's it going? Talking to them, smiling at them, legitimately just putting them in a positive environment around them, flip the switch in their brain and say, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't really feel like killing myself today. I don't want to do that. So in reality, you never know what somebody's going through. My whole kind of motto is I'm kind of adapted this for a while. It started in the summer. When somebody asks me how you doing today, if I say good, that's not, for me, it's just not acceptable. Because as I said, me being alive is just better than good isn't enough. Good isn't a higher fucking standard to answer with. I always have to either say unbelievable or great. Regardless of my situation, regardless if I just got into a frigging car crash, I'm great. I'm awesome. Because I'm still alive. I'm fine. If something bad happens, if friggin', for Christ's sake, if I lose a limb, I'm great. I'm better than good because I'm still friggin' alive. Stuff happens to people and they need to realize this, that regardless of what happens to them, regardless of the situation they're in, there's always somebody out there who's suffering more than them. So they are much better than good. They're friggin' awesome, but they just think, me. I'm going through a bad time. I'm going through a hard time. And shit, I'm not doing so good. I'm not doing so great. But in reality, you're doing better than great. You're doing better than good. You're doing fucking unbelievable. Like every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm doing unbelievable. I'm freaking alive. I'm alive. And yes, not like most, but for myself, I have my health and I'm very thankful for that. I'm able to do stuff on my own. I'm able to be independent. And there are people out there that need to lean on others to help them get through daily life. But I don't. And it's funny, I'm not that religious. I used to be. I used to look to God, and I used to go to church every Sunday with my parents, but I haven't gone for a while. So I don't really think I know people talk about God and stuff. I don't really think you necessarily need God in your life. I know in the program, when I say the program, I mean drugs, I forget, NA. They don't talk about God. They talk about a higher power. Not necessarily being religious, but knowing that there's a higher power up there. So I feel like just some people, for some reason, think about themselves and think about the situations they've gone through and that they're just in this horrible place, when in reality, maybe what they're going through is bad, but they're unbelievable. And there's no excuse not to be unbelievable. We may
I agree with you there, Eric, but on the flip side of that as well, think about if you're having a bad day, right? Let's just say you're having a bad day, because realistically bad days happen, right? And
yeah.
How do people feel when you're having a bad day and somebody comes up and they're like, why don't you have a good day? It's actually probably one of the worst things you could do to somebody that's having a bad day, right? It's like, get out of here. Like, would you have a good day? Like, no, I'm going to have my bad day, right? So positivity, right? Positivity is really just a start, right? Positivity is just a foundation. Because at the end of the day, what do we want? We want to be healthy, we want to be happy, and we want to be successful. Positivity is a belief. Positivity is finding the good even within negative situations. Not disregarding the negative situations.
Think about this. It's very funny. It's like almost, I would almost say, some people may look at me with disgust, but it's comical what your friggin' thoughts can do. So I'm sitting back, I'm listening to you guys talk, and I'm saying to myself, when I didn't change anything in my life, I didn't change the way I eat, I didn't change anything. And when that happened with my brother, my body just changed. And I felt like shit. As I said, I really don't know if it was depression or what it was. I really just slept and ate, and that was it. I morphed into that person for a month, and then I came out of it when I started feeling positive again. I legitimately, the day I felt better, I felt, okay, I need to stop laying around. What the hell are you doing? Let's go. You need to, and boom. So my thought process, the way I thought, my outlook, changed the friggin' way I felt. Like, your mind, your thoughts are that powerful. They can change.
What if somebody was to tell you to be positive the day after that happened with your brother, though, right? It took you going through that to get to that point where you woke up one day and you were like, you know what? This is not what life is about. This is not what I'm going to do with my life. And that's where, I guess, more than anything, what I'm trying to push is not just positivity, right? Not just that it's all perfect, because it's not. We all go through things in life. We all go through things that are going to change us, that are going to develop us. But it's our choice. It's our choice to either grow from those things or to not, to stay stagnant, or to actually go backwards.
I just got finished reading. If you haven't read it, you should really take a look into the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's actually the title. It's a really good book, and one of the things I got out of it was, I really like this. An event may happen in your life that is negative, but you are responsible for the way you feel about it. And basically, something may happen to me, and I think, okay, that sucks, but then I take the positives out of it. And the same thing may happen when, like, I get into a car crash, and I just may be like, shit, that sucks. My car's totaled. I'm going to have to get a new car. But then I look at it as, but I'm all good, because I am all good. I'm still living. I'm fine. I didn't go through the windshield. I have my health. I'll be good. Everything is good. And then it may happen to somebody else, and they'll be like, oh, what the fuck? I'm going to be late for work. This is fucking bullshit. Then all of a sudden you just get all pissed off and stuff. So it's your responsibility to feel the way you do. You can interpret the situation the way you do, and that's on you. It's your choice to be responsible for how you look at and define that situation. And I just thought that was one of the big takeaways I got out of that book. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at here, if I'm not mistaken, is it's all on you to interpret, to decide, to be responsible, to choose at the end of the day how whatever happened affects you.
It is, but even more than that, let's take the 7 basic emotions that are in the human existence. And I started reading this book, Emotional Agility, that I think is very good as well. And you talk about anger, contempt, fear, disgust, happiness, sadness, and surprise. If you break that down, right, outside of happiness or surprise, which could literally go either way, it could be positive or negative, our emotions, anger, contempt, fear, disgust, sadness, those are natural things, right? Over time, through evolution, we were given these emotions to help us, to keep us away from bad things, right? So not embracing, right? If you get into a car accident, I agree. If you're alive, pull from that, thank God I'm still here. But it still sucks that you got into a car accident. And that's okay. The choice, the huge takeaway is not staying in that mental state, but taking from it the things that are going to actually help you grow. Understanding the perspective to be in that place where you're in your bed, you're going to the fridge and you're going right back to your bed, Eric, and then waking up one day and understanding that that was not where you were supposed to be, but you needed to go through that in order to come out the other side. The problem is staying there. The problem is not coming out to the other side. The problem is people not realizing that they can come out of the other side. And that is the freedom. It starts with positivity, but positivity is the path to freedom. And this feeling that I have, this feeling that I put into every single one of my videos, posts every single day, the reason behind that is so other people can feel that too within their own life. Not just so they could go give a high five. Yeah. I just want people to feel that freedom, that power, that feeling. Because if more people were to feel that, inherently more positivity would get pushed every single day, because people would be themselves. And that would be okay.
This may be off topic really fast. I saw this the other day, again from that girl Mel Robbins. Did you know when you go through fear, when you go through all of this stuff, when you're nervous, when you're happy, when you're positive, all of a sudden it's the same reaction in your body. It's just on how you interpret it.
I don't know if you guys knew that. What's happening in your body is the exact same as when you're nervous, as when you're positive, as when you're fearful. It's all the same shit happening in your body, just different people interpret it differently.
And I think that's where, again, to quote the book in Emotional Agility, the author, Susan David, she talks about literally using emotions as data and not direction, right? Using the emotions to be like checking it. It's like if a parent, she uses an example, was to feel guilty about not being there for their children while they're at work. On the surface, right, guilt is a negative emotion, right? But if you uncover that a little more, why do you feel guilty? You feel guilty because you love your kids so much and you want to be there for them. So if we can use emotions as data to check in with ourselves, and that's where, again, coming back to that self-awareness, coming back to checking in with ourselves, asking ourselves the tough questions. If we're having an off day, it's okay. But we need to be aware that we're having an off day. We need to be aware that we're being miserable. We need to be aware that we've been in this state of depression for however long it is. And that positivity, finding the good, regardless of the situation, is the way out. Finding the lesson, finding the understanding within the adversity is the way out. And we can all do that, but we have to be willing to ask ourselves the tough questions that sometimes we don't want to answer because it may hurt, it may be scary, it may be everything that we do not want to face. But cliches are there for a reason, because when they're applied, it's the truth. Everything you're looking for is on that other side of fear. Think about you the other day, Eric, when you made that video about your eye. Like I said, that was the best video I saw all day on Instagram. Why? Because it was so real. It was so you. Nobody else could have did that. Why? Because that's your uniqueness. That is your gift that you were giving that no one else. Start owning it on a daily basis, by the minute, by the second. Amazing things happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think people they're just afraid. I think a lot of people too are just afraid to face their flaws, and they'd rather just leave their flaws, and that's it. But
we all are. We all have fears. We all have fears at the end of the day. But that's what the High5iver movement is about. That's what the journey for greatness is all about. It's about empowering yourself, which in turn empowers others. Because they look at you guys and they go, hey, if they're doing it, I could do it. That's what it's all about. It's not about me telling someone, hey, you should be better, you should do this. How about I tell myself that? How about I become the best version of me ever, so that when people look to that, they go, you know what? I could do that too. I know that guy.
That's awesome.
I agree. Yeah. This is some great dialogue. I don't want to end it, but we try not to go over, we're right at that point, we try not to go over an hour. I figured if we could, I'd sit in here for the next 3 or 4 hours and just talk. But, I mean, oh yeah, this is some great dialogue. We got to get you back on the show for part 2 at some point. We definitely have more to discuss. We're just back and forth the whole 50 minutes. This is great. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Definitely. I can tell, man. We've been doing this for a while. It used to be me and Tom, and then we started getting some guests on. I don't know what it is about you, but just the way you talk, your enthusiasm. I can just hear you through the phone. I can hear, I can sense how enthusiastic, how true, how committed, how empowered you are to what you're doing right now. And I fucking love it. So I'll let you know that. I love everything you're standing for. I love your message. And I would say to you, if there's one thing I would say to you is don't ever friggin' stop, man. Regardless, just don't ever stop. Just keep going what you're doing and keep your message strong and just keep going.
I appreciate that, gentlemen. I really do.
Yeah, no, I can just tell. I can tell that you're a friggin' man on a mission, and you're not going to stop until essentially you're never going to stop because you just want to impact as many people as you can. So you're never going to stop until God says it's your time. So I know that you were definitely put on this earth to do something like that. I can just tell by the way you're talking. So it was definitely a pleasure today to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. I want to personally thank you for coming on. I mean, we always had the vision of having people on and talking about their stories and hoping that it would inspire, just one other person that listens to this episode, and for us to, for you to give us 50 minutes, an hour, and even being patient with us figuring out different strategies and, relating and having empathy to say, hey, I was in your spot, I'm still in your spot, like the story of you telling us that you're recording, and I love that post that you made of the picture with the camera, your iPhone behind it, and saying, hey, work with what you got. I want you to just tell people real quick out there that are thinking about something, that have an idea, but they haven't put it in motion yet. Just give them an affirmation or something just to say, listen, do it with whatever you have in the toolbox right now and build out your toolbox as you go. Like you said, you bought a new camera. Work with what you have and build out, as you continue to go on. So I just want to say from the bottom of, my heart, thank you for being patient with our system right now as we continue to get it better. And, actually, got to give credit where credit's due. You had the idea for Google Voice, and that's what we're using right now. So, it's huge to have people that support you, that understand the starting point and also the adversity when you're trying to do something. You have to get through the technology roadblock. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, and I really do appreciate you guys spending your time with me on a Sunday. You guys could be doing anything. As I hear, football's on today. Haven't watched the game yet. But
that's all right.
Editing.
I already watched my team. We didn't do so good. Pretty upsetting first game. So
No comment. So
hey, the Bills are 1-0. The Bills are 1-0. I don't know if you're Jets or Giants, or somebody else.
Yeah, when I do watch, which is pretty much never anymore. I'm actually a Steelers fan, but just to go back to your point real quick about just starting, right, and working with what you have. There's so many tools that are available today that are free, from Google Voice to regardless, just calling somebody and recording it on Google Voice, right? And if you have an iPhone, you literally have a better phone than people have had, like, ever, going up to, I'm not going to say last year, a year before, but it's a really good camera. And the newer ones record 4K. So, like, what is the excuse? Listen, if you're looking for an excuse, you will always find one. But on the flip side, if you look for a way, you will always find one as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, so really fast, we end every show the same way. So why don't you close us up here?
Yeah. So Josh, at the end of every show, we always highlight one individual, and it could be, the gas station, the counter person at the gas station. Like I saw your video. I can't remember what his name was, but, we highlight a grinder of the week, and we just like to showcase a person that is living what we really believe in, which is always just trying to be the best version of yourself. And we like to highlight that person. It's been everybody from our parents to our coworkers to, a person at the grocery store that is giving out samples that takes 5-10 minutes and talks to you, but he's, 80 years old and just a happy-go-lucky guy. Until he could, he lived a great life, but he's just hanging out, talking to people, giving out samples of bread, But we highlight people like that, and today, it's pretty clear cut. Whenever we have a guest on, we want to highlight you as our grinder of the week, just because of what you're doing with the High5iver movement and the ability to continue to work your job and to have that be a segue to the movement that you have. And we really appreciate you being on the show and just to watch your videos and to have somebody like yourself who just honestly is a little bit further along, and we're soaking in the wisdom. We're soaking in the simple fact that you told us to, hey, try Google Voice. Like, we can't thank you enough to just be open and to be patient again, like I said, to reiterate that. So we want to highlight you as our grinder of the week for episode 20. So thank you very much, Josh.
I appreciate that, guys, and definitely enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And to everybody out there, keep an eye on these guys. They're grinding. They're out there every day. They're doing what they need to be doing. They're making the sacrifices. They're the type of people that I want in my life.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Hey, man,
man.
bounce that right back at you, kid. We got to stay in touch. This can't be the last time you're on. We got to stay in touch with each other, to keep each other in the loop, and who knows, maybe one day we'll meet up in person and we'll collab for something. I mean, I feel like when you stay in touch with people like yourself, and when you meet people like you, it happens for a reason. And I think, bright stuff will be in the future for both of us if we just keep going and doing what we're doing, spread the message that we're spreading, and maybe, who knows, maybe we become a team someday or something. So, yeah.
Sky's the limit, gentlemen. Well, have a great night, and I definitely look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Josh.
man.
We appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Bye.